Gentlemen, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Richard. This is my good friend, Father Dylan Littlefield. Father Dylan, you want to properly introduce yourself with all your respective titles that will come into play in the next 5-10 minutes of explication?
Absolutely. I am Dylan Littlefield. I am the Old Catholic Bishop here in California. I am also a certified canonist. And
Okay, good.
That's it.
And a canonist, some people may all have heard the phrase canon law advocate.
Yes.
So that means you're an attorney who can argue at the Vatican.
I'm not quite an attorney,
Okay.
but I can argue in ecclesial courts. Yes.
Okay,
And you
great.
two might start arguing before we go much farther, so,
Right, so we're
let's
here.
get excited.
So we're here at 1977 Carmen Avenue.
Yes.
The site of the former Dominican monastery,
Yes.
Monastery of the Angels. And we're here today because we have breaking news, don't we?
We have breaking news.
And
Wait, no, I heard all about it. Homeboy's moving in.
You spoiled it.
Okay, but
Wait,
okay.
you have something else though, right?
Well, we have something else.
Okay,
We-
cool.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to that. We want to do a little backstory for everyone, but
Yeah.
but the lift here, the reveal is you're gonna unpack the deed.
The deed.
It's upside down.
The deed.
And this deed, which we'll get to in good time,
Yes.
this deed is going to reveal a lot of things laid out that are going to protect this site,
Yes.
which has been a tremendous concern to the community for a very long time. Okay, great. So
Go.
we're go.
I'm so
Okay.
excited.
Okay.
So we are here at this former Dominican monastery.
Yes.
It was a convent, but the Dominicans call it a monastery.
Correct, right.
So cloistered nuns lived here. I guess let's start very quickly. Who was Saint Dominic? Dominicans follow the monastic rule of Saint Dominic.
Saint Dominic was a Spanish priest in the 1200s. He established the Order of Preachers in 1216, and it is a group that is really focused on service, contemplation, and academics.
Okay, great. The Dominican nuns of the Sacred Order of Preachers
Yes.
was a chapter of the monastic order of Dominicans that came to this country in the 19th century. In 1924, they came here to Los Angeles. They moved into a house, what is now Fraternity Row at USC.
Right.
And in 1934, they purchased, on this site, they purchased a mansion
Yes.
by Frederick Roaring was the architect,
Yeah.
and it was the copper baron Joseph Giraud.
Yes.
They bought it for $10.
For $10.
Okay, and then so this wonderful.
You can't even buy pumpkin bread for $10 now.
So this wonderful sprawling palazzo designed by one of the greatest Los Angeles architects, with gardens by Arthur Simpson.
Yes.
Sprawling gardens, the back part of this 4 acres, became the monastery.
Right.
And from 34 to 49.
The mansion was where they lived.
Okay, 1949, Wallace Neff,
Yes.
a devout Catholic, is retiring. His architecture practice is just, his offices are just down the street.
Yep, a
At
neighbor.
Tamarind. He's wrapping up. What does he do as he's looking to end his career as an architect?
He designs and builds this beautiful complex behind us.
Right. So
And hang on a
everything
second.
everything
Whoa,
we see
there we
is
go.
Wallace Neff.
Wallace Neff.
Yeah.
Okay,
100%.
and all the plans are at the Huntington Library in
Yes.
the Wallace Neff collections. You want to know exactly how much they paid for lumber? Go get a reader card and go figure that out. Okay, this compound
Yes.
that exists, which is protected, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
As a cloistered convent for nuns, it's a monastery, but it's a convent, right? As a cloistered convent, it has cells for the
Right.
nuns. It has a rectory. It has all the things you might think a monastery would have. It has a chapel,
Yes.
and there's something special about the chapel connected to this specific order of Dominican nuns.
Yes.
The perpetual adoration, which you have to explain, because I didn't learn this in Hebrew school.
So from 1949, when this chapel opened, up until the mid 2010s, 2015-ish, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the Blessed Sacrament was exposed, and there was some human being, usually two, oftentimes, most of the time, a nun, adoring the sacrament. The Blessed Sacrament was never left alone from 1949 until about 2015 or 16.
And was the chapel always open to the public
The chapel
during this
was always
time?
open to the public during this time.
Wow.
The nuns had an area behind the altar in, the,
Right.
in an area called the nuns' choir, and you could see the Blessed Sacrament from both sides. The monstrance, the thing that holds the host, is exposed on both sides, and you could see it. and the nuns would be on their side of the cloister, adoring it, and there would be lay people and non-cloistered religious on this side.
Right.
So like you, as a journalist in your youth,
Yeah.
you would come in after a tough night in Hollywood, and this was sort of a peaceful place.
Yeah, I would come here for a lunch in the garden. I would come here to pray during a rough news day, and a lot of people do.
I want to get to the chapel.
Yeah.
At the end.
Okay.
And your expertise as a canon law advocate will help us with all the intricacies of the chapel reopening. Okay. Can't forget the pumpkin bread. So as this modern compound we know it evolves, there's a gift shop and the nuns start baking pumpkin bread. Pumpkin bread actually was not the first of the big treats, but it was the most economical. So it's the one that survived for decades. All right, I want to jump up, and now you're going to do a lot of the lifting. Okay, it's 2022.
Yes.
And this monastery is suppressed, which is a Latin word for a term that the Vatican uses. The monastery is closed.
Right.
So tell us what Cor Orans is and how Cor Orans brought about the closure of this monastery by order of the Vatican.
So Cor Orans is a really important document. It was a 2018 papal document that came from the Dicastery for Apostolic Life. And what it did is it focused on women religious, nuns and sisters. And normally in this environment, nuns and sisters would have this thing called a vow of stability, which means that they would live their entire life here,
right,
or any convent or monastery in this environment. And Cor Orans changed the vow of stability because religious life is changing so much and there are fewer women religious. So Cor Orans changed a lot of the way monasteries were governed and said that stability doesn't necessarily have to be in one physical location, that the location can change for the benefit of the order. So in 2018, this rule was created, and in 2022, August of 2022, the Vatican suppressed this monastery, and the nuns began the very long process of transferring their vow of stability to another monastery.
This was a monastery that was getting smaller and smaller over the years. There just weren't a lot of younger women joining.
Yeah, and they had some leadership issues as well that prevented the monastery really from growing. So,
Yes, and then in COVID, they lost a lot of women.
In COVID, they lost quite a lot.
But we have a lot too. Let's keep moving. Okay, March 2023. I'm just going to read this while it's down. Western Dominican Province of Dominican Monasteries to explore future for Monastery of the Angels property.
Right.
Okay. What does that mean? In the ad, it's a very broad statement. What are they starting to do now?
7 months prior to that, the monastery was suppressed. They began the process of figuring out where the different nuns would go. There were about 11 nuns here.
And as a LAPD helicopter flies overhead, this is 4 acres in the heart of Hollywood.
4 acres in the heart of Hollywood.
Yes.
So there were 11 nuns here. They couldn't all go to the monastery in Menlo Park, which is the Western Province's headquarters. So they had to figure out where they were going to send them. They also had to close down operations here. They had, even with 11 nuns, they have a 4-acre property, and there was a lot going on here. There was the pumpkin bread, there was the chapel,
retreats,
the treats. There was a lot going on, so they really had to phase out things and make sure that the building wasn't just left derelict. And they did a really good job of ensuring its safety during the transition period. So in March...
And in a way, actually, this parking lot that we're in is a bit of a chapel for those who want to come and
absolutely.
And observe.
St. Martin de Porres.
Right.
Yeah. And so in March 2023, the nuns asked the order of preachers, the priests who are the head of the Dominican order, to help them figure out the future for this site.
So that's what that ask was.
Yeah.
Attached to that press release is a quote from Father Christopher Faddock, OP, Prior Provincial of the Western Dominican Province. Right. So that's like North America?
That's, I believe, everything west of the Rockies.
Why don't you let Reverend Dillon read that?
Okay, great. Why don't you read this?
All right. He said, "Their chapel and grounds are a place of prayer and refuge for the neighborhood, and their bread and candy business is a staple of Hollywood tours."
Okay, so...
Wait, that's us. We come here on our tours.
Next month. I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get... Okay, so that's good. So out of the gate, looking to change scope and scale, and perhaps use of this site, and Dominicans make this statement.
Okay, you're kind of forgetting that around this time, We broke the story.
That's what I was just gonna.
Oh, okay,
get
go
to.
ahead then.
Okay,
All right,
okay.
I want to.
So I just wanted to get that. So that comes out, and at that point, before we know you, Kim and I get very concerned about this, and we form this entity which has no legal standing or structure.
ad hoc
An
entity.
ad hoc entity, thank you.
Yes.
Called Friends of the Angels, friendsoftheangels.org.
To advocate.
To advocate, and we get a phone call from a very nice young man, an attorney outside of Boston, Brody Hale, whose mission is to save monasteries around the country.
And churches.
Yes. And this is something because he's great. And he really...
Boy, we learned a lot from Brody.
Boy,
Wow.
And he's well, and he's just back in private practice and not talking to us every week, which is okay.
Yeah.
Because we did it. Okay,
And then we found you because
Right.
you're like, who are these people trying to save this place?
Right, so we get
Through the website.
We get
That's right.
website.
Well, we got a really nice story in the Religious News Service, which is syndicated, and it went on the Washington Post.
Right.
So so we find you.
Yes.
Okay, great.
You found us.
I found you.
Right. We
What's
connect.
lost is found.
We connect.
It's been so much fun.
And in the course of that time, Kim and I have many meetings with lots of people, canon law advocates in Vienna, Vestal Virgins in Texas,
People
land
whose
use
dads
attorney-
helped build this place. Amazing
land use
people.
attorneys in Orange County from major law firms. that
Pumpkin bread
really
freaks.
care. And I'm told in the course of these meetings, right before we connect with you, you've got to find the deed. I had this one meeting with this very powerful land use attorney, and he said, I only have one question for you, and I know you don't have the answer, so call me when you get it. What's the deed say? So I make up the deed. So 6 years later.
Fast forward.
Okay.
So
All right.
so this announcement comes out that Homeboy Industries is going to be...
No, you missed the step, Kim.
What did I miss?
You missed this.
I don't have the list.
April 2nd, 2023.
Oh, yes.
April 2nd, 2023, Dominican friars and nuns enter an exclusive agreement for request for proposal process.
Yeah.
Go. What does that mean?
It means that they wanted to find out what the possibilities are for this future, for this site, what interested the community and people and community-based organizations, and what they were going to do with this 4-acre property in Hollywood Hills. They got all of 2 proposals, just 2. One of them was rejected outright because it did not meet any of the requirements.
Is this public information or is this just your insights?
This is what I got.
This
Is clergy inside information.
I see, okay.
And they got one proposal that ended up not gaining any traction because they couldn't get the funding for it.
Okay, and
they were sort of looking at potentially demolishing everything and redeveloping the parcel.
At one point, that was the talk. Yes.
Yeah.
So when we meet you, Kim and I, working with Brody, are apoplectic because there's this thing called RLUIPA, which is a federal law which has an equivalent in the state of California.
Right.
For those listening that nope, I don't want you to think I don't know that.
We could go in on this for a long, long time, but essentially, if a religious owner objects to landmarking, it's dead in the water, and the city will not even have a hearing.
Right. So that's very important. Okay. So Friends of the Angels forums, we are advocating for the preservation of this space as sacred space.
Yes.
Okay.
We want the chapel and these beautiful buildings and the gardens
Okay.
to be safe.
We're almost there, Kim.
Yeah.
Daily Mass from April 2nd, 2023. Daily Mass continues through Christmas Day, 2023.
Yes.
And public access to this site ends January 1, 2024.
Yes.
Okay, so on the table...
And today
is February 17th, 2026.
things look pretty much unchanged since
Right.
they closed down.
A lot of status. Okay, so on the table before this title transfer to Homeboy Industries last week, on the table are concerns about landmarking because of RLUIPA.
Right.
Religious entities can say no, you can't do that to us. We're concerned about this as sacred space, open to the community.
Yes.
We're concerned about this as open space.
Right.
Okay. Is there any other major concern we're missing that we've been screaming about, concerned about, jumping up and down about?
Some of the artwork and artifacts that are on the property.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, yes, it's just a beautiful blow mold piece, but isn't it lovely?
Right. So the chapel. So let's just 30 seconds.
Hey, come on, you guys! You've been talking a long time.
No,
Get to the deed. We all want to know what it
the
says.
Chapel we want the chapel to remain open, and we'll get to that. And that's a little tricky because. Okay. All right. Last week.
Yes.
Hold up the. Okay. So what this
Right
is.
side up.
Thank you.
Okay. So last week, a press release came out 2 weeks ago. Press release came out from Homeboy Industries that this is going to become Home of the Angels.
Yes.
And title properly transferred last week.
Yes.
And so what? So let's go.
So I'm going to backtrack a little
Yeah.
bit. So in the paperwork research process of this, we found an amended Articles of Incorporation for Monastery of the Angels Incorporated
Right.
that had a clause that said the property can only be sold for a religious purpose.
Huh.
It wasn't in the earlier versions of that, but it was when they closed this down.
So
and it
hang
was
on.
suppressed.
So this was in response to all the advocacy that we were doing
It
for the
came in the middle
community.
of that, yeah.
It seems like even though they didn't ask us to come and sit down with them, we were sort of at the table in a way.
Yeah,
Right.
and we had a lot of conversations one-on-one. I know I did. I know
Yes.
you had some conversations
Mary,
with various
Christine, right.
people that were very high up in the Dominicans to really advocate for this space.
You advocated in Rome, did you not?
I did advocate in Rome.
Thank you for doing that.
Sister Brambilla, who has just recently got a promotion, she and I had talked for quite some time via email about the property and about what the future of it was, and she agreed that the property needed to be preserved as a sacred space. And so from on the ground advocacy here to advocacy in Rome, in the middle of all that, this clause was added to the Articles of Incorporation in mid 2024.
Okay. Quick shout out to Brody Hale before we get in
Yeah.
heavy lift here,
Yeah,
because this is important. Things on the table. In the course of suppression of a monastery, there's explicit paths for donations to these spaces to have the opportunity for the donors to take them.
Yes.
And
To reclaim materials
reclaim
that-
them.
Yeah.
So this is going to come up in a minute. So
Yeah.
I just want to say
Yeah.
this has been on the table for years.
Right.
Okay. Title transfers to Homeboy Industries, which is not a religious
Right, it's a-
non-profit.
It's a public benefit nonprofit.
Okay.
And their plan is, can you give us the 30-second version?
The 30-second version is to turn this into a keep it sacred space, but sacred space in kind of the Jesuit style, where we talk about humanity and people and fixing people, and a healing place and a place where people who are really deep into mental health issues that need a lot of help and support can come here to this very peaceful and amazing and beautiful place and get the healing and help that they need so they can get back into society as productive members and very much in line with Homeboy Industries kind of overall charism.
And I really love this because it's 4 acres, and we really have a sense of just the front of it,
Yeah.
which has been public facing, and then you can see the hillside, and you can see the green space, and obviously the animals and the birds enjoy it. But the cloister, there's a lot of space on this property. There's a lot of structures.
Yes.
And there's a lot of room to help people. So that's cool.
Okay, so this is we're about to get the real lift. So we've known, because why would we doubt what Homeboy Industries and Father Boyle is telling you?
Right.
In the background and in their press release, we don't doubt that the title has transferred.
Yes.
Or is in the process of
Yes.
transferring. The lift, what's really interesting to me is what entity is now going to operate this as Home of the Angels.
So this is we talk a lot about this, and so if I'll try and encapsulate as much as I can. This is a modified public-private partnership, which means that the state of California, an operating agency, and Homeboy Industries all have some kind of stake in this. So on paper, it's owned by Homeboy Industries.
The title is transferred.
The title is
You've got it right there.
I have it right here. The title is transferred to Homeboy Industries, but then there's also with this an operating agreement and a trust deed that puts 2 other entities involved, the California Department of Healthcare Services, and then a private operator who is actually going to operate the mental health hospital and clinical portion of it.
Oh, right, because this isn't something Homeboy has
Right.
done before.
So for the first 5 years of the program, they will run that and then begin to transfer it over to the various other entities. And a public-private partnership is basically the state of California funding something and then using the thing they funded as collateral for the private agency to buy it.
Okay, so tell us about what this deed tells us. This is fascinating.
The deed is it's a really simple deed. A lot of this 12 or 13 pages here are signature pages, but there's one really, really, really important part, and this is all that we've been talking about. Gets to this point.
And I'll remind you, this cannot be landmarked while it was owned by the Dominicans.
Right. While it was owned by the Dominicans, it could not be landmarked.
And we were all really worried about it. Should someone submit a landmark designation nomination and try to protect and preserve some of these portions of the site? And what is in the deed?
So we go through all the recitals, And then it says, this conveyance is made subject to all matters, liens, and encumbrances of record, and is made subject to the following beneficial restrictions. And there's a whole bunch of other language which I'll skip because it's unimportant. The grantee shall install reasonable signage and forever protect as open space the area at the top of the hill.
Oh, wow.
As designated on Exhibit 2, which is attached. And protect for as long as practical the statue of the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the historic copper frame well tower.
And those are two pieces that only the nuns used to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was blessed to see the Sacred Heart of Jesus after Operation Cease. I was able to walk into the quad for a few minutes with some staff here, but I never got farther than the driveway at the quad. So I've seen the statue with my own eyes. I think in the past I might have sent you a photo of it.
No, you just told us about it.
and
do you have this exhibit too? Can we see that?
I do have this exhibit too.
This is so exciting.
And so, Dylan, this is it. This is in the deed that transfers the title to Homeboy. It explicitly lays out that there's protection for this space.
Yeah. So here's the property. This is Carmen Avenue. This is Gower right here.
Where are we?
And we are about right here.
Okay.
Yep. Right there. And this is the hill space.
Wow.
It's protected.
Okay.
It's incredible.
So before we wrap up,
that really is a scoop, and a very happy one.
Home stretch and my notes home stretch. We've in the past year, lots of phone calls, lots of text messages, lots of emails to us. Escrow. It's not an escrow. What's pre-escrow? What's going on?
They're going to come to the neighborhood council, and they don't show up. Nobody knows what's going on.
All these things are in the air. And what I would hope you can just quickly touch on for 30 seconds is all this talk of escrow and financing this modified public-private partnership is really interesting because how is the state doing this now?
So the state is doing this through the 2024 healthcare bond that was voter approved. The bond covered, I think, 5 projects. This is one of the projects the state of California selected. So
that's huge.
Yeah, it's a very
big deal.
Very big deal. I don't know, and don't think we need to share all of the finances, but
no.
It's a huge deal not only for Homeboys but for the neighborhood because the space is going to, obviously, as we just saw, the space is going to remain open, beautiful green space, and it's going to be a beneficial. It'll continue to be a benefit to the community, to the greater community.
This is a really happy story.
Yes.
And one last aside to that in all these things you've just outlined that are protected, that means the role of California, the state of California has a role in ensuring that this happens.
Yes.
So if people are concerned, the state of California is an entity that can be reached out to.
Yes.
Not just Lambert Giesinger, the preservation architect of the city of Los Angeles, or a zoning administrator.
And it was also really interesting in some of the other documents. The other documents are about 60 pages, so I haven't had a chance to go through them all. But there are protections in place for security. They must keep the facility secured.
Some of the other sculptures are
and so we're actually discovering through all this research. I'm actually discovering that a lot of the other artwork and sculptures that weren't taken by the Dominicans when they left here. Are covenanted to be here, so they will be on the property as part of the covenant of the donor in perpetuity.
So
shall we walk over and sort of wrap up?
Second, sure. Yeah. I want to. Okay, one last question. One last question. Two entities.
Yes.
Foundations, donations. We talked about this about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Jane Wyman Foundation and the Doheny Foundation.
Yes.
Very quickly, their contributions and next steps for them possibly.
Their contributions are going to stay. The covenant that the trust for the benefit of the Wyman Foundation will keep that the statue of Mary giving Dominic the rosary for the first time. That statue will stay here.
Okay, good.
The Saint Dominic or the Saint Martin de Porres statue that statue will stay here.
Great.
So it's going to remain a place that's familiar.
Yes.
And it's going to become a place of use and service.
And the blow molded St. Michael, I don't know.
It better stay. I really like
how
it.
That got here, I don't know anything about it, but I'm sure it will stay. I mean, it's a very important part.
I have one last question for him. Okay, the point of interface for the public has always been the chapel.
Yes.
The chapel, which up until within the last 15 years was perpetual adoration.
Yes.
The chapel. So Jesuits, are going to control the chapel. They're extrajudicial, which means they don't have anything to do with the archdiocese.
Extraterritorial.
Extraterritorial.
Which means they don't technically have anything to do with the archdiocese, but the archbishop has a certain amount of control, so they do have to ask Jose for permission to activate the chapel.
Okay.
But at that point, the chapel becomes theirs to operate. Many of the Jesuits, Jesuit institutions around here are built like that.
Okay, great. So my point of all of that is there is a clear path for the chapel to be open.
Yes.
And Jose has to get the ball rolling.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, are you happy, gentlemen?
Yes.
I'm very happy.
I am very happy.
Good.
This makes it all worth it.
Okay. Thank you, Kim, for letting us take the
Oh
time
no,
to
I
get into...
appreciate all of the details.
This isn't even the weeds. This is not even minutia. This is like one point in from the main outline topic, with one indent. But we've done this because we've had so many questions and so many people
And
have asked
so
us
much
about
prayer energy
concerns
has
and-
gone into this
So we
to
just-
get a good solution. I'm very pleased
And
with
so
what's
once
happening.
we got this a couple days ago, we just wanted to come here and just sort of get all the big points on the table and answer the questions, so people feel better, because they should. Everyone should feel a lot better.
And you're welcome up here. Often this parking lot is open. You can come. You can look at the site, and soon you'll be, we hope, able to visit the chapel again.
Yes.
Perhaps even buy some sweets in the store.
The pumpkin bread is still part of the plan.
I love that. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your advocacy. And the best part about it is we got you out of this, and we've been great friends. And I'm just going to zoom down. You can walk with me if you want.
I hope I get to meet Father Gregson.
I think so, Richard. So that's the end of, stage one of a very special advocacy project. Sometimes all you can do is amplify the voices of people who care and just keep asking for what it is that you all need as a community. And eventually, it all works out. It's a beautiful piece. Okay, we're going to see you at the Monastery of the Angels. Now, we still got a problem with the bogus sign, but I don't know. I'm too happy to be upset about the bogus sign. But CD4, we're still expecting you to do something about that bogus sign. All right. And just a quick look at the garden, because it's looking super nice. You know, there are people around. You're hearing voices. Feels like it's a little more alive than it used to be. Of course, we're up here at the end of Carmen Avenue. This was a mansion with a really wonderful placement here in the city. And here is the garden space and the chapel, and everything's so pretty. Whoa! And perhaps we'll see you here again. All right, over and out, my friends. I think we better get the word out. Okay. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Here's to the home of the angels and everything new that's coming.